Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. I am the fan of Steel, and this is our YouTube channel podcast series, The Gauntlet. And I'm joined by SteelGlitch.
What's up, guys?
And ZthePirateGirl.
What up, YouTube?
And we've got a really special video that we're doing today because we are commemorating / celebrating the life of Stan Lee. This is the 1 year anniversary of him passing away. So we figured that we would do a video just listing our top 10 Stan Lee cameos. So the way we're going to do this is everybody's going to give their number 10 through 4, and then after we've all listed that and we've had some time to talk about those, we'll give you guys our top 3s. Before that, does anybody have any honorable mentions if they want to get out of the way first?
Should be like right before the top 3, I think. Like a runner-up, you know?
Runner-up for the lists, or?
Yeah, like do your 10 through 4, and then do your honorable mentions, then do your like top 3.
Okay, I mean that's fine for me. That works for me. So, Glitch, why don't you give me your 10 through 4?
All right, so my number 10. Did any of you catch that Titans Go to the Movies cameo?
The Teen Titans Go to the movies?
Did you see that cameo?
Yes.
That's amazing.
I saw that. I'm right out the gate, you're giving me one I did not even think about.
Yes, and I was hoping no one else would, because I wanted to say that. And yeah, that was a good cameo.
It's also interesting because it's a cameo in a DC movie.
It is. You wouldn't think that would happen. So that's kind of fun, because that's actually, it's not really one of the best ones, but it's an interesting one because you get to see him in the DC movie. So
yeah, and we're not saying that, you know, that this list is, these are our top 10 favorites, and it's different for everybody, and it's for different reasons too. Maybe because a certain one was funnier, or it was special for something that happened in it, or just interesting. So
yeah, so it's interesting. I wanted to be the one that mentioned that one. So
well, yeah. I'm glad I let you go first.
There you go. Yeah, so my number 9 is Thor. I liked the one in Thor where he's trying to pull out the hammer and the bed of his truck gets ripped off. He's like, did it work? Yeah, I love that one.
Redneck
it was pretty
Stanley.
funny. That was, me just getting into the MCU. Everybody, really, because it was still the beginning.
It was still pretty fresh, yeah.
But, just being younger and seeing those movies. I really liked the two of the Thor movies, not Thor 2, but because apparently I like them, because number 8 is Thor Ragnarok, when Thor's getting his hair cut.
Right. Please, sir, don't
Please, kind sir, don't cut my hair. Yeah, I loved that one. Number 7, I liked the one in Homecoming, where Stan leans out the window and he says, "Don't make me come down there, you punk," because that spawned many memes.
Yeah,
that was a meme template that was used a lot.
Yeah, it was.
People
it
loved
was.
That. So it was great. My number 6 is Infinity War. I love the whole bus scene with Peter talking to Ned.
Yeah,
and
that's a great little.
Finishing it off with his cameo.
Yes.
Never seen a spaceship before.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then let's see. I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. His car gets shrunk. His car gets shrunk, and he says, "Well, the '60s were great, but I'm paying for it now." But what I liked was they put a video out of all the different the different lines that they tried for him to say.
Yeah.
And I loved that video, just like 10 or more options that he went through, and it was hilarious to see that.
Really? I need to check that out.
Yeah,
I've
you
not
need to
seen
find that and look at that. It's pretty funny because there were some other ones, like one of them is he's like, "Well, there goes my sandwich." I guess he left his sandwich in the car before it got shrunk. Yeah, so it's really hilarious. So I really like that one because they showed all the different things that it could have been. You never think about how there were a bunch of different options for any of the movies.
Right, probably. Yeah, and I think that is something that we don't think about, because that's definitely not the only movie that's been the case for. I mean, that happens in movies all the time, and I'm sure it happened with several of his cameos.
Right. But I only had 9 on my list, but I did want to mention Far From Home. I appreciate that they're not trying to do something, since he passed.
Okay,
I appreciate that they're not trying to carry it on. That they let it go.
They let it
with him,
right?
And they don't make it something that has to be. It was special while he was here.
Yeah. Instead of like what they're doing now, they're like, doing digitized versions of celebrities in movies that they didn't even agree to, and it's just like, are you serious? Like,
right, because that is actually starting to become a thing now, where they're recreating celebrities and stuff. That was a big topic that came up, where that they're actually doing that with James Dean for a movie.
Wow.
That he's going to be in a movie, playing, not just being James Dean, but he's actually going to be, as an actor, playing a character. Which I don't see how that works.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But, we've seen that happening. And in some, with de-aging and stuff, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But actually putting a character in there. And, there was a huge conversation with that with Star Wars, Episode 9, too. What were they going to do with Carrie Fisher? And I really think they handled that well with just using... It'll be tough to say, since we haven't seen it yet, how well they pulled it off, because they just used scenes that she had shot from episodes 7 and 8 that didn't make it into the final cut,
right? And
found a way to incorporate those into episode 9. So I'm not sure how well those will come out, like if they'll feel forced or if they'll fit, if they'll flow. But I do appreciate the fact that they at least said, we're not going to just make a CGI Princess Leia. Yeah. So I agree with you.
I appreciate that they're just going to let it go with him.
Yeah,
they're not going to try to keep going.
Yeah, that's an interesting one to put on the list of Far From Home, because he's not in there.
Right. And I went through mine kind of quickly, and I don't have an explanation as to why I like them. I know y'all probably have explanations.
Far from
home. I know you will.
Far From Home was your 4. That would have been your number 4.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it there in the middle just to mention.
Yeah, I appreciate that nod. That was a good one. Z, you got your top 10?
Yeah.
Well, just give us 10 through 4.
10 through 4. I don't really have them ranked per se, because I'm pretty okay with like all of them, but I do have a top 1, I guess. So. I guess, was it Infinity War where he was on the school bus driving Peter Parker and whatever, and the kids are all like freaking out, and he's like, what, have you never seen a spaceship before? Like, that was pretty good. And then the Age of Ultron where, Thor whips out his, this has been aged since blah blah blah, and Stanley's like, oh, I'm a veteran, I can drink it, and then at the end he's like clearly messed up, but he's still living and he was able to take the shot and he's fine.
Right, yeah.
So that was kind of cool, that they did that. But, and, Big Hero 6, there was the cameo in Big Hero 6.
I wear them front.
I wear them back. I wear them inside out. I go front back.
Yeah, that was funny. That's just good comic relief right there. And I could totally see Stan Lee being, like, into that. Like, I feel like he would have even done that in person.
What, wear his underwear that many times?
Do the cameo in person.
Oh, I was like...
He's that confident.
I was like, hopefully no one does that.
Right, yeah. Silver Surfer, when he tries to get into their wedding, and he's like, but I'm Stan Lee, I should be on that list. Yeah. That's a good fourth wall break right there. Was it a Deadpool promo where Deadpool is like, zip it, Stan Lee? That was a promo, right?
Yeah, where because he comes out of the phone booth. Yeah. And Stan Lee's there and says, nice suit. And he's like, zip it, Stan Lee.
Also, there's a Firefly cameo in the background if you're looking for that. Yeah. So, for all you extra deep cut nerds out there. Iron Man 1, going way back, when Iron Man thinks that he's Hugh Hefner.
Oh, yeah.
From behind, which, to be fair, he looks a lot like Hugh Hefner wearing that smoking jacket. But
the Iron Man cameos make you realize how much Stan Lee could look like other celebrities at the same time. It's like, so you could be Hugh Hefner and Larry King?
Yeah. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's all of them without giving... Oh, no. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I've actually not seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I've seen the Stan Lee cameo for that, and I like it. Though,
Right, yeah.
you know, there's an argument between two of the characters of male and female.
Right, yeah, I saw that too.
And Stan Lee basically is like, I'm so sorry for your loss. And to the man, he's just like, basically, hey, you've got a second chance. Quit screwing it up.
Right, yeah, he says that to Agent Coulson.
Yeah, which I thought was really, you know, a lot of people need to hear that. Not even just men, just a lot of people. You're being given a second chance. Quit screwing it up.
Right.
So, and I think that just leaves...
you should only have 3 left.
Plus an honorable mention.
Yeah, we'll do our honorable
3
mentions
plus an
here
honorable
in a little
mention,
bit.
yes.
I liked what they did in the Iron Man movies, the first 2. It would have been funny if they made that a thing. Like, I don't know if they were trying to make it a thing where he was a different, like, real person.
I think it worked in the first one.
Yeah.
And so they just decided to do it for the second one.
Right, and I wonder, but it would have been funny to see him be other people in the other movies if he had been, you know, they kept going with that.
Because I think that was...
For the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, it worked.
I think that was kind of a thing, because I remember people, like, in anticipation for Iron Man 2, like, people asking, I wonder who Stan Lee is going to be.
I think it worked for the first Iron Man,
in
though,
this
because,
cameo.
you know, Tony Stark is around celebrities all the time. So in that case, it would make sense.
Yeah, it kind of fits.
It would make sense for him to be like, "Oh yeah, Hugh Hefner. I've told like because he tells it like, hey, you know, Hugh or whatever.
Yeah,
like they're
good,
best
Hugh.
friends. You know, or like he knows him.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes sense that he would think that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really fit with the other movies. It fits with those.
Yeah, but I like those.
Yeah, they're good. I forget what his one was in Iron Man 3.
I don't
remember what his cameo was in that one.
Let's ask the Google.
Yeah. Just on the spot here, we're going to think about this. While you're looking that up, I'll go ahead and give my 10 through 4.
Let's see.
So, for my number 10, I've actually got Daredevil. That one was a surprise for me. I remember watching Daredevil for the first time, and the Stan Lee cameos had not really... I mean, he had appeared in a few. X-Men was the first Marvel movie that he ever appeared in as a cameo.
Oh.
And then we had Spider-Man. But, Daredevil came out in 2003. And so it was not a well-established thing yet, but he came into that. And he's just a guy just on the sidewalk, reading a newspaper, not paying attention, goes to step out. And he would have gotten hit by a bus, but Matt Murdock, as a kid, puts his walking stick out in front of him to stop him. Mm-hmm. And the bus goes by, saves him. And then the paper lowers and you see, oh, it's Stan Lee. And as a kid, I remembered even watching that because I already knew who Stan Lee was at that time. And, the anticipation for him being in there had started to kind of grow a little bit, but it wasn't like a expected thing. My number 9, you guys have already mentioned it, is Age of Ultron. That one was just so much fun. It's so fun to see it. And the thing I loved about that one was that he said Excelsior.
Yes.
That's what I loved the most about that one. Excelsior. Did you find it?
Yeah, he was a beauty contestant judge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it was real quick.
Brief.
Whenever
The news van. He gets in the news van.
Yes, he gets in the news van. And he's there and he's judging. He's all happy judging the beauty contest.
Right, so that's Iron Man 3. Just to
that was
really,
Iron Man 3.
The quickest.
No, there were some other quick ones.
There were some.
In Avengers was a really quick one too, where that they were going through all of the screens right at the
Heroes
end.
in New York.
Give me a break. Yeah, he's playing chess.
I like that he at least has a line though.
Spider-Man 1 and 2, he just like pulls somebody out of the way of like rubble. And the original X-Men movie,
quick.
he's just a hot dog vendor and he's just like standing there.
Yeah, he just stands there. He doesn't really do anything.
I like the ones where he has a line better.
Yeah, well, I think they realized that and they, capitalized on it.
Yeah.
Side note, the thing with the first Spider-Man one, he was only supposed to run out of the way in that one. And the girl was there and he said, I don't think that fits. I think, if I was there, I would try to like pull her out of the way too and help her too. So I thought that was really cool that, he was like, no, I'm going to say, I'm going to be a hero in my cameo.
Yeah.
And he kind of set that up, so I really like that. Number 8 for me is Civil War, Tony Stank. Are you Tony Stank? I loved that one when I first saw it. That was it was so fun. And that was probably a cameo that cameo was really needed in that movie, because you had just gone through a lot of really, really heavy, dark material with, I mean, the stuff that had happened to Rhodey, and he and Tony are talking about all of that stuff right now, because Rhodey's going through kind of a rehab thing. But then the fight between Cap and Tony, and just that whole thing, everything before that had been so heavy and so, just very, very deep and dark. And so it was nice to get just some levity in there. And, it's Stan Lee, and it's just fun. And, or you, Tony Stank, that was just super fun. Number 7 is one y'all have already mentioned too, Rise of the Silver Surfer. That one was a favorite for me for a long time because it was a fourth wall break. And yeah, I remembered watching that, and I thought, they let him say that? I didn't realize
he
as a kid.
He has the rights to himself. Like.
I was just like, I can't believe they actually let him say that he's Stan Lee, because he is. Wow. I lost it. I did. I nerded out really bad on that one. Number 6 for me was the first Hulk, the Ang Lee Hulk in 2003.
Ang Lee Hulk?
Ang Lee. Yes, he's the director.
Oh, I thought that was a...
No, it was not a bloop. That was the director, the Ang Lee Hulk. That's how people know it.
Ang Lee is ever angry. But
taking a moment of silence.
That's a joke.
Yes, we are mourning that joke.
It's not my fault. Y'all don't have a sense of humor.
What was his cameo on that one? What did he get?
Well, the cameo in that one, he comes out with Lou Ferrigno as security guards.
Yeah.
That was one of my honorable mentions. That's funny because you don't catch it. That was one of my honorable mentions because you don't catch it if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, and that one was a lot of fun because I had seen the TV series The Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. So for me, that one, when I saw that movie, that was a double cameo for me. That was double special because I was like, oh, it's Lou Ferrigno and Stan Lee, and they're walking together, and it was just an extra fun cameo. And I had always told my parents that I had wanted to meet Stan Lee and that I had wanted to meet Lou Ferrigno. And I got to meet Lou Ferrigno. I never did get to meet Stan Lee, which was sad for me. That was one of the saddest parts of when he died, was I had never actually gotten the chance to meet him. But I did get the chance to meet Lou Ferrigno, and I actually got to talk to him about that cameo. And I got to mention to him that was super fun for me, and he talked to me about that, about how it was really cool getting to see Stan again and talk with him again, and be in another movie with Stan, because Stan Lee had also cameoed in the Incredible Hulk series.
Right.
So, Lou Ferrigno had already knew him and had seen him and done movies and stuff with him, so that was really cool. So that one that one's got some personal stuff to it too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Number 5 for me is actually Endgame. Endgame makes my top 5. And I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't like it because I was so sad. Because I knew when I saw it, I was like, that's the last time I'm ever going to see him again. And so it was like, that wasn't good enough. But honestly, I don't think they could have made a cameo good enough to satisfy.
I mean, because you couldn't really anticipate. We knew he was in bad health, but they couldn't anticipate when the last one was going to be.
But it is a really good cameo. It really is. It's fun, and it's almost poetic too, because he drives off, kind of like driving off into the sunset type thing, like an old Western. Mm-hmm. So the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. And then the bumper sticker, which I'm going to get to that, because that has to do with some of the other ones that are on my list, but the bumper sticker of "Nuff Said," and I caught that. And so as I thought about it more, I ended up really, really liking it. Because I remember sitting there, and that comes up, and they flash the date that it's 1970 something. And then you see the car, and you see the bumper sticker, "Nuff Said," and I'm like, oh, here it comes. This is it. And it just, again, I didn't like it as much at first, but the more that I've seen it and the more I've had time, I really enjoyed that one. And number 4 for me is actually Captain Marvel. And for 2 reasons. When they did the Captain Marvel, we already knew that Stan Lee had passed away. Mm-hmm. And I really, really loved the tribute to Stan Lee that they did with the Marvel logo. Because we had been having it like with Black Panther and everything, and some of the other, like Civil War, the other ones, the compilation of the different characters. So I didn't know going into Captain Marvel that they were going to do the Stan Lee tribute with that. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, that was really good
thing that came from Captain Marvel.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Because I'll be honest, I really didn't enjoy that movie.
I fell asleep halfway through and don't feel like I missed anything.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was the least exciting and the least fun out of all the Marvel movies.
Which is funny because there was such a build up to it with the way Samuel L. Jackson, opened up for that.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just not good. Like, there's just nothing. I have only watched it once, and I don't have any desire to watch it again. Like, there's nothing that brought me back. Now, I know a lot of people really loved it, and that's fine. You know, if you like a movie, that's up to you. But
the best part was Samuel L. Jackson talking about Alabama.
For me, and
Blockbuster.
I just didn't really care. That was funny. I just didn't really care for it that much, but I liked it, and I liked his actual cameo in it too. Because she's going through the train, and there's a guy there sitting, and he's reading a script from Mallrats, right, which was another cameo he had done, and he had done a cameo in that movie.
Breaking a fourth wall.
Yes. And I've never seen the Mallrats movie, but I have seen his cameo for that, which was really fun. So I thought that was that was neat. And she, lowers it, and he smiles at her, and she smiles back at him. So it was a sweet cameo for the tribute before, and then that little cameo. I liked it. So those are my 10 through 4. I guess now we'll do some honorable mentions. For me, honorable mention, we've already talked about X-Men. That's an honorable mention for me because it's his first cameo that he ever did in an actual, legit Marvel movie. The Spider-Man games. I remember back in the 2000s, just the original Spider-Man game, and he voice-overed those games, Spider-Man 1 and 2, Enter Electro. And he did the voiceover stuff for that, and I remember playing those games and just being like, "Oh, that's Stan Lee." It was fun, and he would do the voiceover narration for that, and then also for Spider-Man PS4 that he did that, and that was really cool. He had that little cameo in there, and the 90s Spider-Man TV series, which is probably my favorite animated series. I didn't include that one in my list. I just did an honorable mention for it because it's really, it's the longest cameo he ever did because he's in it for the last 5 minutes of the episode.
Well, it's easier to do that when it's a cartoon.
Yeah, but and that was the thing too. But Spider-Man has just finished defeating a doppelganger of his, the evil Spider-Man, Spider Carnage. And
that's the one that has that spawned all those memes, I think.
It might have been. But he goes back to an alternate dimension where one of the Spider-Men had came to fight this whole thing. And in that one, he's like, "Oh, I'm actually not a superhero. I'm an actor that portrays you in a TV show." And he goes back, and Spider-Man meets Stan Lee. And, they have this whole conversation and stuff about... No, that's from the 60s Spider-Man. I watched those two. Those were great. But he has a conversation with Spider-Man about heroics and being a real hero and all these different things. And which is actually another honorable mention. Whenever that he did the promotion, the trailer for The Defenders. That if the actual TV show had been as good as that trailer was, that would have been awesome. So those are my honorable mentions. Glitch, what are yours? Got any for us?
No.
No honorable mentions?
No honorable mentions. I mean, I appreciate all of them because I like Stan a lot, and because of all, none of this would have happened. Lots of it wouldn't have happened without Stan. So I appreciate being able to see the little that we get to see of him, because he didn't have much of a life out and stuff. You didn't get to see too much of him, but you got to see him in the movies. So that's pretty cool. But no honorable mentions. I appreciate all the cameo stuff.
That was another reason why that I put the 90s Spider-Man TV series in here, because that and the X-Men TV series are, if we hadn't have had those, we wouldn't have any of the stuff that we've got now, because right at that time, Marvel was so close to going bankrupt. And really the thing that saved it was those two TV series and being as popular as they were, and kind of revitalizing interest in the comic world and in superheroes. They kind of brought people back to Marvel. If it hadn't been for those, there's no way we would have ever had the MCU or any of that. So, Z?
The Venom one. The Venom cameo. Where Stanley's walking his dog.
That was an interesting one, yeah.
Yep, and Venom's just like, who is this guy?
yeah, that was kind of funny.
That was my honorable mention. And then the other one was when it's like a double Easter egg when he walks out with Lou Ferrigno. But you mentioned that one already, of course. So.
Yeah, from the Hulk. Yeah, yes. That was a really
Which
good
is
one.
like, it's like a double Easter egg because, Lou Ferrigno previously played the Hulk, so.
Yeah, it's a double, triple Easter egg thing. It's just all kind of...
Yeah.
Lots of eggs. Lots of eggs. All right, so who wants to give their top three first? Glitch, you start us off, so I guess you go ahead.
I'm going to do it.
Give us your top three.
My number 3 is Endgame. Now, I didn't understand it because I hadn't seen a lot of other stuff.
Okay.
So, the bumper sticker, enough said, I didn't understand it until you explained it to me. I know you're going to explain it in a minute. So, that's when I appreciated it then, once you explained it to me. And I hadn't seen
because I remember having that conversation with you.
Yeah, I hadn't seen what it was a nod to about the Nuff said. So I really appreciated that one. And it has to be in there because it was the last one we had of him.
Right.
Number 2 was already mentioned. I loved Age of Ultron. It's not made for mortal men. Neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie.
Yeah. That's a great one.
Funny. And like you said, I really liked that one because you got to hear him say Excelsior in it. So
which was his favorite saying, because it was like onward and upward, always, go, never feeling like you've reached your full potential, just continuing to climb and continuing to go, and only your imagination or lack thereof can stop you, basically.
Right. Yeah. So that one was really close to being number 1 because I don't know, I like Age of Ultron a lot.
Oh, I do too.
I've watched that one many times.
I loved it when it first came out, and I realized people were mixed on it when it first came out, which, it was different than the first Avengers, and, some people were just like, oh, it's just not as good, but I really enjoyed it and still do. Yeah. I think I love Age of Ultron. That's a great one.
So it was almost number 1, but I was going through watching more of the cameos, and I found the one from the Winter Soldier. Now, Captain America. I love the Captain America movies. They're probably my favorite. Winter Soldier being in my top 3 favorite of the MCU movies because it's so well made.
It really is. That's a tough list. Your top 10 MCU movies. That would be a tough list.
It is. But the Winter Soldier definitely makes it to my top 3, and so that cameo makes it to my number 1 spot because I love Cap's going back to get his original suit.
That's the one where he's the security guard, and he's like, I am so fired. Yes.
So
that's your number 1?
That's my number 1.
I wouldn't have thought that would be a number 1. It's a good one, but that's, okay.
And maybe it's because the whole movie around it I love so much.
Yeah.
But I liked it because I loved seeing Cap back in his old suit in that movie again also. Mm-hmm. So that was my number 1. I like that one.
That's a good one. I like your list. You got a good list there. All right, Z. Give us your top 3.
So, my number 2 and number 3 kind of tie. They're both from Spider-Man movies. It's when he's in The Amazing Spider-Man in the library.
Oh.
And he's just totally oblivious, and like all this stuff gets so close, like the table almost hits him, and then Spider-Man's like, "Oh nope," and he just has no idea.
Yep.
That was just so great. That was one of the best ones in my opinion. But then the other one is, I think it's Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, where he gives him kind of the pep talk speech. Mm-hmm. Like that one's also really good in a more serious note, and it's really hard to choose between the two. So those are both like my 2 and 3. My number 1 though is when he's the DJ at the strip club in the Deadpool.
Oh no!
And you know what? Stan Lee's biggest regret is the fact that he wasn't actually in a strip club to do that. He was on a set and he was pissed about it. He's like, I can't believe that they made me be on a set instead of like in the actual thing. Like he made a point to say that he was mad about the fact he didn't actually get to be a strip club DJ. So, and that's just great. Little old Stan Lee, like, it's like that was his, like, secret career if comic book stuff did not work out. Like, he was gonna, or, like, if he ever retired.
You are ruining my childhood.
If he ever retired, Stan Lee, you know,
I don't want to.
Strip club tour featuring, you know, Stan Lee as DJ.
I don't want to think about Stan Lee sitting there writing the first issue of the Fantastic Four and being like, you know, if this doesn't work, I can always go and be a strip club DJ. You know, I don't want to think about that.
That's what I always. He was so enthusiastic about that part, and the fact that he got mad that he didn't actually get to be in a strip club says a lot to me. Because that was really unexpected. Like, you know, you got to where you expect to see Stan Lee. And then they show him in that capacity, and that is not what I was expecting that cameo to be. Despite the fact that it was a Deadpool movie, that's not what I expected. So...
And he did have a pretty funny line. I will say, you can't buy love, but you can rent it for, you know, however much. Good old Stan Lee.
It's like, you know, another deep cut for those of you who watch Rick and Morty when, you know, they go to one of the alternate universes and it's like the freaky Morty or the, you know, the dirty Morty or whatever, and they see this little, you know, Marty McFly-esque character, and it's a strip club full of like alternate Mortys, and it's just like the most awkward thing ever. It's kind of esque of that, in my opinion. And that's what makes it funny, is because you don't expect to see him in that capacity, but then he does, and he's enthusiastic about it to boot.
Yeah, it's a very shell-shock cameo, that's for sure.
So.
Well, my top 3, number 3 for me is actually The Amazing Spider-Man. You just mentioned that one. And yes, that one was so good and so much fun. It's so funny. I remember watching that just, like, as soon as it came on, and as soon as it was over, rewinding it and watching it just several times over again because it was so much fun and it was just great. For me, number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And that one, really, because I don't ever remember freaking out so much as when I saw that cameo. Because not only was it Stan Lee there, but he was sitting there with the freaking Watchers.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that had, by this point, because that came out in 2017, so 2 years ago, the huge, like, theory that was out there was that Stan Lee had really just been playing one character. In all of the cameos, that he was Uatu the Watcher in all of his cameos. And that's why we kept seeing him in all these little things. And so when you see him in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he's this spaceman in this old suit, and he's talking to them about cameos that he had done, and he said, oh, and then I was a FedEx driver, referring to the Tony Stank in Civil War. And I'm just like, did they just confirm this? Oh my God. And it was so cool and so much fun to see that. And I was like, whether or not that's confirming that is actually what he has been, I don't care. But it was so much fun to see that cameo and to see him there with the Watchers and everything. It was great. I loved it. Guardians of the Galaxy would probably not make my top 10 of if we did Marvel movies, but as far as cameos go, yeah, that one was great. And number 1 for me is Spider-Man 3. That one is my favorite one. And if you guys watched the video that I did whenever that Stan Lee died, my little memorial of him, you will have already known that was my number one because I stated as much. And really the reason why is because that one cameo sums up his life perfectly and sums up who he was and what he wanted to be. And whether he realized he had done it or not, he did, because he comes up to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and we just figured the storyline, he was going to be receiving the key to the city, and Stan Lee comes up and he just looks at him and he says, you know, I guess one man really can make a difference.
Yep.
Enough said. And then he leaves. And that's where the enough said comes in. And so that's why that was so special to me when I saw that, because it was, you know, a callback to that, which I thought was really cool, because that's not connected to the MCU, but they put it there. So to me, it was really neat. And it really said a lot of Favreau, not Favreau, man, why am I blanking? The guy that's over Marvel. Kevin Feige, yes. Really says a lot of Feige, because Feige worked on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. Yeah. And I think, I have a feeling that maybe that was his favorite Stan Lee cameo. I'd like to think that probably is in the Spider-Man 3. And yeah, again, it sums up everything, whether Stan Lee realized it or not, and I'm sure he did to a degree. He impacted so many people's lives. And I know a lot of people don't really want to take comics seriously, or comic book movies, and they look at them as just kind of, you know, we've had this whole thing with Scorsese and different actors and stuff coming out and just kind of, you know, crapping on comic book movies because they're upset because their movies aren't making, you know, blockbuster money like what the comic book movies are.
Which blows my mind, Scorsese, since you sat there and made a Joker movie, but okay.
Well, and you know, he talked about that too. He produced it, but he wouldn't direct it because he didn't want to take it into the actual transformation of the Joker. He just wanted to keep it this character, Arthur Fleck.
Yeah.
So, I know. But,
it's really easy to say crap like that when you're rolling in millions of dollars, just saying. But, you know. And,
you know, whether there are people out there that don't care for comic book movies and don't really like comics, and that's fine. And the great thing, though, is that, you know, these movies and comics and Stan Lee, what he did, and revolutionizing the comic book industry, because when he started all that with the Fantastic Four, he really was putting his job on the line, because the people that were over him did not want him doing that because they didn't think it would be successful, and it ended up being a hit. But that has sparked so much creativity in the world, and lots of, you know, just lots of things. People have, it's given people lots of different job opportunities and different things that would never have come to be if it weren't for these movies and these comics and everything. People that work with different tech and stuff like that, and computer programmers and different things that design a lot of things, and really a lot of it is owed to men like Stan Lee, and how he inspired people to, you know, Excelsior, to, you know, onward and upward, to live that way. And so for me, that's why that one really is my number one. And, you know, it is a little bit sad remembering that, you know, he has passed away, but it's overall it's a very happy experience, because we're getting to look back on all this great stuff that we got because of him, and that we are going to continue to get because of him. The comic book industry is really in a all-time high right now, and with the movies and everything too. And we do get movies like Joker and stuff too that, it's really nice that we've got ones like Joker, but then we've also got ones like a Guardians of the Galaxy that's really fun and quirky and way out there.
Yeah.
Or ones that are like Joker that are very, very grounded and serious. Because it can cover so much stuff. So, I mean, I know we all are very thankful to him for everything that he did. And I think, yeah, that's why that Spider-Man 3 was my number one. But I don't know, you guys have any closing statements you want to make about any of this or Stan Lee in general? Or
like I said before, I appreciate all of the cameos and getting to see him because, like I said, you didn't get to see him much out in public or hear anything else from him besides those things in those movies. And he changed some people's views on life through all the work he did.
Right.
It probably helped a lot of people too get through situations. Some people might have turned to comic books as their release to,
yeah,
and they had his
for
work,
sure.
They had his work to go to. So he probably helped a lot of people. So.
He inspired lots of people, for their imagination and creativity and just hope in general. And just not much. Yeah, there's so much that you could attest to him that we've got that's just been amazing. So, well, guys, I guess that's it for us. Appreciate y'all being here. Hope y'all enjoyed our top 10 video. You got something you want to say extra? All right. And y'all be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this. And also, please put down in the comment section your top 10 Stan Lee cameos. That'd be really like to see what you guys' list would look like too as well. And, well, enough said.